What if the first sign of dementia is something they're ashamed to talk about? Over 60% of dementia cases are first spotted by family, not because of memory loss, but because something subtle, awkward, or downright embarrassing begins to happen. Strange personal habits, unusual behaviors, things they've never done before and don't want anyone to see. But these odd behaviors may be the brain's first warning. And if someone you love is doing them, you need to pay attention now, before the damage goes deeper. In this video, you'll discover 7 uncomfortable, real-life habits that revealed dementia years before diagnosis. All based on caregiver stories, all backed by research. Let's begin. Number 1. Forgetting to use the bathroom in time. 73-year-old Daryl started having occasional accidents. At first, it was just small leaks. He'd change his pants, without mentioning it. His wife assumed it was age-related and encouraged him to see a urologist, but Daryl refused. Then things became harder to ignore. He once returned from the grocery store soaked, claiming the restroom was too far away. Another time, he wet himself during dinner, then calmly continued eating like nothing had happened. The breaking point came when a neighbor found him standing in their front yard in damp clothes, confused and trying to unlock their door. That same week, his family insisted on a cognitive screening. Daryl was diagnosed with Lewy body dementia nearly 2 years after the first bathroom incidents began. Cognitive experts report that early dementia can damage how the brain manages bodily signals like bladder control, urgency, and timing. Seniors may lose the ability to recognize the need to go, misjudge how long they can wait, or forget where the bathroom is altogether. These accidents aren't just physical. They're often one of the first signs the brain is struggling behind the scenes. New dementia videos daily. Feel free to subscribe. Number 2. Using childish language or baby talk. At 76, Loretta had always spoken with dignity, but out of nowhere, she started using words like tummy, boo-boo, and potty. Her daughter noticed it first during a phone call when Loretta said, "My belly feels yucky today." At first, the family thought she was joking, but it kept happening. She began calling dinner yum-yums, and once told her grandson he had a big stinky. Then one afternoon, Loretta looked in the mirror and said, "Time to brush my toofies." That moment broke her son's heart, and he scheduled an evaluation immediately. Loretta was diagnosed with frontotemporal dementia about a year and a half after the first odd phrases began. New research highlights that dementia can affect the brain's language centers and emotional control, especially in frontotemporal types. Adults may revert to simpler, childish words, not from memory loss, but from a breakdown in inhibition and language filtering. It's not immaturity. It's the brain quietly rewiring itself. Number 3. Oversharing personal details. 79-year-old Glenn used to be private to a fault, but one afternoon at the pharmacy, he told the cashier he was having trouble in the bedroom and asked if she knew a good solution. His wife was mortified. A month later, at a family barbecue, Glenn loudly announced that he had hemorrhoids and described his ointment routine in detail. At first, relatives laughed nervously, thinking it was just age-related bluntness. But then Glenn began sharing bank account balances with neighbors and once told a child at the park about his colonoscopy. That was the day his daughter broke down and made an appointment with a specialist. Glenn was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease around 18 months after the first incident. A recent study uncovered that early dementia can impair the brain's ability to judge what's socially appropriate. As filters weaken, personal boundaries vanish. What sounds like oversharing is often a breakdown. In the brain's frontal lobe, the part responsible for discretion, inhibition, and emotional control. But here's what most people don't realize. Many of those cases could have been delayed or even prevented. The earlier you spot the signs, the better the chance to slow it down. That's why these small changes matter. They're not just quirks, they're early clues, and catching them now could make all the difference. Let's keep going. Number 4, making up fake jobs or pretending to go to work. 2 years before she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, Wanda, 70, began talking about her old job again. She'd casually mention needing to check emails or said things like, "I've got a client call later," even though she'd retired years earlier. At first, her husband thought she was just reminiscing, but then she started setting an alarm every morning and sitting at the kitchen table with a notebook, saying she had reports due. One day, she walked out to the mailbox dressed in a blazer and skirt, clutching a folder, and told a neighbor she was heading in for a big presentation. That's when her daughter finally scheduled a full evaluation, and she blamed herself for not acting sooner. Doctors have observed that in early dementia, the brain often clings to familiar routines to mask confusion. When gaps in memory form, people may unconsciously fall back into old work roles, not out of denial, but because their sense of time and purpose is beginning to break down. Number 5, walking around half-dressed at home. About a year before her diagnosis, Nancy started lounging around the house in her nightgown longer than usual. Her husband figured she was just getting more relaxed in retirement, but then she began answering the door, in just a robe, sometimes forgetting to tie it properly. When her daughter brought it up, Nancy brushed it off and said, "It's my house. I can wear what I want." A few months later, she walked into the backyard in nothing but a slip, waving to the neighbors like everything was normal. The moment that finally pushed the family to act was when she arrived at a Sunday lunch wearing slippers, no bra, and pajama pants over a swimsuit. That week, they booked a full evaluation. Nancy was diagnosed with mixed dementia at just 72 years old. Clinical reports indicate that early dementia can disrupt a person's awareness of social norms and personal appearance. As inhibition fades and routine breaks down, even modest, well-dressed individuals may start making wardrobe choices that feel inappropriate, but to them, nothing seems wrong. Number 6, eating with their hands or licking their plate. At 80, Leon had always been a tidy eater, but gradually, his family noticed small changes. He started using his fingers to grab peas or scoop rice, even when a spoon was right next to him. At first, his wife thought it was just laziness, but then he began licking his plate after meals, and once used a dinner roll to mop up salad dressing at a formal event. The moment that finally shook the family came during a birthday party, when Leon picked up a slice of lasagna with his hands and ate it like toast. That's the day his family sought professional help, and soon Leon was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. His wife regretted not acting sooner. Looking back, his behavior had first changed 3 years earlier. Caregiver case reports reveal that strange table behavior is often an early red flag in dementia. As damage spreads through the brain's social and motor regions, even lifelong habits like using utensils or chewing politely can suddenly fall apart. Number 7, spitting in public or indoors. 2 years before her diagnosis, 75-year-old Mary began clearing her throat constantly and spitting into tissues. At first, her husband thought it was allergies, but then she started carrying napkins in her purse just to spit in them, even at the dinner table. Then the behavior became harder to ignore. Mary once spit into a coffee mug at church, and another time, she rolled down the car window and spit into the wind at a red light. The breaking point came when she leaned over the couch cushion and spit directly onto the carpet, saying, "It's not real spit anyway." That night, her son insisted on a full cognitive workup. Mary was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease shortly after. Neurologists have found that dementia can alter how the brain processes swallowing, saliva, and bodily awareness. What looks like rudeness is often the result of disrupted reflex control, one of the more overlooked but telling early signs of cognitive decline. If someone you love is doing things they'd be embarrassed to admit, don't brush it off. These aren't just quirks. They might be the brain's first cry for help. Act early. Because in dementia, waiting is the biggest mistake.
And there you have it. What are your thoughts? Next, dive into this video for more essential tips to transform your health and help you thrive. You're going to love it. Thanks for watching Healthy End, and we'll see you there.